So I'm going to talk about is the spiritual journey, where I'm talking about the partial blue lotus bloom. So the spiritual journey should never be too fast. So if you think that, let's say if someone thinks maybe I missed out on the meditation or a prayer or some such thing. Maybe if I do more of it now, I can catch up, or I can get there faster, or I can just make up by praying more to number of years I didn't do it. Then that's not how spirituality works. One, so much meditation and praying is not needed, which I will come to eventually. So I'm just talking about is what happens, how you ascend in spirituality. So, I do meditate a lot and I do pray a lot, but that is not necessarily a requirement in spirituality. But after some point, it is needed that you pray and meditate a lot. So, I am at a certain stage where I'm required, or it is good for me to meditate and pray so much spiritually. So, I talk about what happened when I saw one day a partial blue lotus bloom in my dream. The thing is, the journey before the partial blue lotus bloom is that I had, fought every thought in my head, and whatever it took me to keep all my thought, all my distractions away whenever I was in stillness or in meditation, almost to the point that when I would close my eyes and I would be in stillness in that moment, after maybe few seconds or some time, I would see a drop form, and then I would see a still ocean, and the drop would take very long time to keep forming and become heavy in a way that it is ready to now fall in the ocean. And then what looked like forever, the ocean with its stillness would stay so, and then the drop, which is now starting to become bigger, would then just fall into the ocean. This ocean represented my mind to me, where it was in stillness, and with every drop, I could count the waves it formed, the circular waves or ripples it formed. It was very slow movement. So, this is prior to the partial blue lotus bloom, which I was caught with this dream where I have this partial opening of the blue lotus, was completely a surprise to me. I had no any information or any awareness of such an experience, happening to people who are spiritual or who are monks or who follow the Buddhist religion. I don't follow the Buddhist religion, but then I do have very big reward from the Buddhist religion. So the day I had the dream was in absolute darkness. I see a light at distance, and it's not a small light. It is a light as if it is in a room. It is like a well lit up room, but I can't see the room from where I am standing. So, in this darkness, I start to walk, and as I'm walking, the light is becoming um, more clear to me, which is it is concentrated at a certain point, and the rest of the place is just, has just the reflection, or it just has the this light falling off from this main point. So I'm not so good at explaining what I'm explaining right now. I'm doing my best. So I walk towards this light in the darkness, and then there is a glass wall which doesn't let me go any further. So now I'm looking inside that room with my hands on the glass wall, and my vision is very clear, even though I'm looking past the glass wall, which was even more strong, and so strong, it felt even stronger than a regular cemented wall in the dream where I'm standing and looking inside the room past the glass wall. The glass wall felt so strong because I had my two hands on the glass wall. It felt very, very strong, stronger than even the cemented wall. It's just like you can't even, put any pressure on that wall. It was such a hard glass. So I'm looking inside, and the light is concentrated, and that is when I see there is a light only on the flower. There's a very big stemmed lotus, and this lotus, which is blue at the tips, and then it fades out little bit to the petals. It is to the left, and it is a bud. And as I continue to look at this lotus, it stays like that. And normally the time is hardly few seconds, but in that dream, in that moment, it feels forever. So it is turned to the left, and then what looked like a very long time, it starts to bloom. One petal after the other, very slowly, it starts to bloom. And it's very beautiful to see a flower bloom, and that too bloom so slowly, as if I can capture each and every petal in that bloom that is taking place. The bloom stops when the petals have only when half the petals have only bloomed, and they stop. The full flower never blooms, it just opens half. After this dream, which was actually a very elaborate slow dream, I stayed with this dream in smallest of detail for a very long time, that it is even very, very clear to me even now, the smallest of detail. I searched internet a lot, what does that mean, what is this partial bloom, and I never found any meaning, any reference anywhere. And it is only much, much later, sometime around now, that I saw and understood the meaning of what is a partial blue lotus bloom. So, the journey did not stop here. Maybe some year later, after this dream, I had a mental breakdown, which means I lost control of my mind. It happened very briefly, and spiritual journey can be very, very one strange, and it can be very heavy. The psychic abilities, when a person becomes a psychic, or when you are dealing with psychic abilities or psychic pressure, it can be very difficult to deal with. And in my case, I momentarily felt I had lost the control of my mind. So, 3 days before my mental breakdown, this was a year after the partial blue lotus bloom. So, 3 days prior to this breakdown, I had started to see the same vision where in the darkness I am walking to a light, and I stop at the glass wall, and there is a lotus behind. And as I put my hands on the glass wall, I notice at the bottom there is a crack, creepers which are climbing up. So this glass wall is starting to develop cracks like a creeper all over its base, and the cracks are starting to climb up. This is 3 days before I experienced a breakdown. I did not understand what these cracks and creepers meant. And as I am nearing the breakdown, these cracks keep getting bigger and bigger. And then I experience the breakdown where I can't tell, I'm not much in control of my mind. So I did go back home, and I spent a lot of time crying because the psychic pressure was so heavy on me. I couldn't deal with it. And after maybe I had rested for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It actually took very long time, maybe 2, 3 years for me my head to completely calm down. I realized the glass wall was cracking in my head. I had the pink thousand petal pink lotus bloom, maybe about 2, 3 years after this experience. So when the glass wall cracked, it had taken me to a higher level spiritually, and that is the exhaustion I was not able to deal with, and I momentarily accepted I had lost control of my mind. So, this is the reason why people should not go very fast with spirituality. So, if someone tells you to pray, then you should only pray so much and not overdo it. And when someone says meditate, you should only meditate so much and not overdo it. Divine loves balance. I will get to all of that when I'm saying these things. I will explain everything. And divine does not want you to overwork anything, because then the results you won't be able to deal with or work with. They will be so heavy and so exhausting for you to deal with. So, I spoke about the three stages that I experienced with the lotus bloom. The first stage was the calm and the stillness in my mind, where with every drop I could count the ripples or the waves it formed in that still ocean. The second is how when I walked to the light, I saw a glass wall and beyond that glass wall was the partially blooming blue lotus. And the third was the glass wall starts to crack, and I experience a mental breakdown. Because I never went too fast with spirituality or meditation or prayers, or I did not overdo anything related to spirituality, I was able to handle this breakdown. So, when we look at this world, a lot of people are losing their mind because they're going too fast. They're trying to develop a wisdom which can possibly only come decade or two later if they went to work, but they would like to have it as soon as they pass out from colleges. So, and some would like to make money, as much money as early as possible, so they are going at neck breaking speed to get it as much as fast as possible, and that is when people start to lose their mind. So, one, this world needs to slow down to feel okay and to enjoy the nature and spirituality. Then I talk about is the experience further from uh, the partial blue lotus bloom. It is when I had the thousand petal pink lotus bloom. See, when the pink lotus bloomed and the petals started to bloom, first one set of petals, then another set of petals, then another set of petals, another set of petals, another set of petals, another set of petals. As I'm looking at this bloom, pink lotus bloom, with the clear view, I just kept saying, how many petals are there? How is it going on blooming? How does so many petals just keep on blooming or coming off the lotus flower, which was pink in color? Please note that I'm not from Buddhist religion, and these experiences were very surprising and shocking to me. But Divine decided to send these gifts to me, so I'm talking about it. As these petals kept blooming, I just stayed in awe in the vision how the petals just kept blooming and blooming and blooming and blooming. And what felt like eternity, the flower had then completely bloomed. So, thousand petal lotus bloom is nothing but abundance offered by this universe to everybody. Every person in this world is born with abundant nature around. So, when as humans we are not experiencing abundance, we have gone wrong on many fronts. And to experience abundance and to stay true to the spirituality, this world needs to correct itself and be sparsely populated. We can't be a overtly populated world where everybody is fighting for water, for fresh air, for resources. The abundance offered by the nature and this universe is just mind blowing. There is so much fresh air, so much free water to have, so many resources, so many mountains to climb, but suddenly everything is unavailable or is falling short because this universe or this world is getting loaded with too many people and we are dying of overpopulation. So, this world needs to correct itself and we should be sparsely populated to enjoy the abundance in this universe. With this, I conclude my this talk on spirituality, and I will meet you again next Wednesday with another topic and how to incorporate spirituality in everyday life.